Hi, good morning. My name's Tor. Thank you for coming to join us for International Yoga Day today. And also for supporting the Black curriculum. We are going to begin lying down today. So if you wanted to make your way onto your back, any comfortable supine position is fine. You might want to just come to lying down with your legs extended in Shavasana. You might want to have your knees bent. Just find a position that you can be comfortable in. Allow your hands to rest by your sides. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze. Start to take a little bit of focus to your breath. So nice deep inhale through your nose and open your mouth to exhale. Let's do one more. So nice full deep breath, breathing in through your nose. Pause and then open your mouth to side out. And let's give ourselves a little moment just to settle. Start to tune in with how you are feeling today, how the body is feeling, how your breath is feeling. And we're just taking a little moment to arrive on the mat. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about the Black curriculum. So it is a social enterprise founded last year by young people to address the lack of Black British history in the UK curriculum. They believe that by delivering arts-focused Black history programs and providing teacher training and campaigning through mobilising young people, we can facilitate social change, which I think is particularly pertinent here on International Yoga Day. From wherever you are, start to draw your knees up towards your chest. Give yourself a nice hug. Maybe have a little rock from side to side. Then bring your arms back down by your sides. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, push your feet up towards the ceiling. So draw your toes towards you. So we're getting a bit of a stretch for the backs of our legs. And this foot action is dorsiflexion, so drawing our toes towards our shins is dorsiflexion. Then point your toes. So this is plantar flexion. So even though when we say flex your feet, it's typically drawing your toes towards you. Both of these actions are indeed flexion. Draw your toes towards you, point your toes. So plantar flexion, draw your toes down, dorsiflexion. This is the one thing I remember from ballet lessons as a child. It was good toes, naughty toes. So pointing your toes was good toes, drawing them down was naughty toes. Hug your knees back towards your chest. And extend your arms out to the side, palms facing up. Take an inhale. As you exhale, let your knees come down to the left-hand side. Breathe into the side of your waist. Inhale back to center. Exhale, knees to the right. Your next inhale brings you back to center. Take hold of the backs of your thighs. We're going to take a couple of rocks up and down your spine, or if you prefer, you can just roll over to your right hand side. Just whatever works for you. We're going to make our way to seated. So coming to any comfortable seat. So typically we just kind of come into Utkatasana or cross-legged. Allow your hands to rest down onto your thighs. You might want to close your eyes or soften your gaze. We're going to take a couple of seated cat-cows. So as you inhale, draw your sternum forward, feel your shoulder blades draw down your back, lift your chin slightly, keep the back of your neck long. And as you exhale, take it back. So feel your shoulders come forward, find space between your shoulder blades. Two more. So we're inhaling for our seated cow, exhaling for our seated cat. Inhaling, exhaling. Come to a neutral spine. As you inhale, sweep your hands upwards, draw your palms together, and as you exhale, bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. Allow your thumbs to lightly rest against your sternum. And with our hands here at the Anahata Chakra, the place of love and compassion, then thinking about taking a moment to set a dedication for our practice. So perhaps offering your practice up to someone that you love, maybe a cause that you believe in, you want to send some positive energy towards, and not forgetting yourself in the mix. And from here, Place your hands onto the mat, roll over your knees. We're going to come into tabletop quite briefly, but bring your knees together. Tuck your toes under. See if you can even catch your little toe. Then start to walk your hands backwards until we come into a seated position. So sitting upright, having a little bit of a stretch out for our toes. This is indeed toe stretch. It's one of the few poses that can increase range of motion in our feet. And whilst we are doing that, make this shape with your hands. And then start to open and close your hands really wide and really fast. So making your hands like stars. This is one of the best things I've found for warming up wrists. Faster, wider, shake it out. Really good. Walk your hands back out. Have your hands roughly shoulder distance apart. Thinking about having your middle fingers facing forward, all of your finger knuckles connected down. As you inhale, bring your shoulders slightly ahead of your wrists. Then take your feet a little bit wider, bring your knees a little bit wider as we come into Konasana or tabletop. Again, as you inhale, come a little bit further forward. This time as you exhale, tuck your toes and let's make our way into downward facing dog. So straight away in your downward dog, start to move your body. So maybe bend one knee, extend the opposite heel down to the mat. Do that a couple of times on each side. Turn your head from side to side. Then find a little stillness in your downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift onto your tiptoes, soften your knees. Start to walk your feet up behind your hands. Then take hold of opposite elbows and have a little sway from side to side. Release your hands down to wherever it is that they come to. Then really press into your feet. So feel your heel, the big toe mound, your little toe grounded down. And then as you start to press down, you'll probably find you straight away start to roll up. Start root to rise. Give your shoulders a little roll. I'm going to turn to face you so you can see my feet, but you can just carry on facing the front of your mat. So have your feet roughly hip distance apart, but make sure your toes are facing forward so they're not kind of daffy ducked or turned in. Then we're going to pronate our feet. So this is when we think about bringing the inside arch a little lower to the ground. So it's a bit of an ankle movement. You'll probably find that your little toe starts to lift a little bit here. So let's lift up all of our toes, spread them out, and then one by one, bring them down to the mat. Then feel the outside edge or the little toe side of your foot really grounding down. And you should find that you've got a really nice solid base. So as you inhale, sweep your hands high, really stretch your spine as much as you can, and exhale your hands to the heart space. So this is samastiti, or equal balance. So we're looking to have each side of the body in equal balance with the other. While we're standing here in our samastiti, think about lengthening your tailbone down towards the earth, slight inward rotation at your thighs. Let's start to bring in our bandhas. So feel your pelvic floor or perineum, the muscle between your legs, lifting slightly in and up. Draw your belly button in and up towards your spine, engaging our Uddiyana Bandha. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale. On your next inhale, lift your hands, look to your thumbs. As you exhale with soft knees, forward fold, so hinge at your hips, coming into our Utkatasana. Inhale to a flat back, bring your hands to your shins and look up. As you exhale, right foot then left steps back as we come into a high plank. So think about pushing through your heels, extending through the crown of your head. Same as when we were standing, draw your tailbone down towards your heels and push up between your shoulder blades. Take an inhale. As you exhale, we're coming down, knees, chest and chin, so keep your hips high and your elbows drawn back. Slight forwards motion, untuck your toes. Inhale for a low cobra, draw your sternum forwards. As you exhale, lower down, take your hips to your heels, coming into child's pose. Take a breath here. Exhale. As you inhale, Bamanasana, tuck your toes, exhale, downward facing dog. So thinking about finding a bit of length at the backs of your legs, push the ground away. On your next inhale, step your right foot forward, and as you exhale, bring your left foot to join it. Inhale to a flat back, look up, shoulder blades draw down. Exhale to fold. As you inhale, gather it up from the ground, sweep your hands overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastiti, equal balance. And as you exhale, bring your hands back down by your sides. Full inhale, exhale. We're inhaling for chair pose, Utkatasana. So on your inhale, bend your knees, lower your hips, look to the space between your hands. As you exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale to a flat back, look up. As you exhale, left foot, then right steps back, high plank. So thinking about coming through knees, chest, chin again. Take an inhale. As you exhale, knees, chest and chin. Inhale for our low cobra, draw your shoulder blades together, slight engagement for your glutes. And as you exhale, take it back through tabletop this time into downward facing dog. Full inhale, exhale. So typically when we come into downward facing dog, have our feet roughly hip distance apart. But that's a relatively recent standard, or the way that we regularly practice. So let's try it with our feet wider. Take your feet maybe mat distance apart, but have your heels slightly turned out, toes turned in. And just notice if that feels better, worse, just different. Bring your feet together and turn your toes out and bring your heels down. Again, it feels slightly weird because we don't typically do it. But just observe if that feels more comfortable for your hips, maybe the backs of your legs. Coming back into feet hip distance apart. As you inhale, step your left foot forward. On your exhale, bring your right to join it. Inhale to a flat back, exhale to fold. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana, draw your ankles, knees and thighs together. And exhale to stand up into Tadasana. So chair pose is a good example of a pose that we've brought off feet and ankles into dorsiflexion, but passively. We don't have to make any effort to do it. So let's again come to our chair pose. Inhale, bend your knees. And then let's see if we could maybe come a little bit lower. So take your hips a bit further back and see if you can bring your back parallel with the earth. Keep your biceps by your ears. Take an inhale. As you exhale, bring your hands down. Lift your hips. Inhale to a flat back. As you exhale, step back to a high plank. Option to come through knees, chest, chin, or maybe we can come through chaturanga. So as you inhale, come forwards, lower to elbow height. Untuck your toes. Inhale for upward facing dog. Exhale for downward facing dog. As you inhale, step your right foot forward, lower your left heel to the mat so your foot's on a diagonal. We're coming up for our warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. As you exhale, bring your hands down, step back to plank. Flow through your choice of vinyasa, and we're making our way back to downward facing dog. Your inhale steps your left foot forward, lower your right heel down, warrior one. Think about bringing your right hip forward and your left hip back. As you exhale, hands down. Keep the exhale going through chaturanga on knees, chest, chin. Inhale for cobra or upward facing dog, glutes engage. Exhale for our downward facing dog, where we are going to give ourselves 5 breaths. So think about coming into your variation of downward facing dog. Nice deep inhale, exhale. Draw your belly button in and up towards your spine. 2 more breaths here. So we're inhaling for 1, exhale. Inhaling for 2, exhale. As you inhale, Lift onto your tiptoes, soften your knees, look to the top of the mat and then walk, step or float on up to the top. Inhale to a flat back, exhale to fold. Inhale, chair pose, exhale, stand up, Tadasana. Full inhale, exhale. Inhale, chair pose, exhale, forward fold, Utkatasana, hips high. Inhale to a flat back. As you exhale, step it back to plank or with soft elbows, float it back for chaturanga. Coming through your vinyasa, thinking about taking your shoulders back, sternum forwards. Exhale, downward facing dog. As you inhale, lift your right leg. As you exhale, draw your knee to your nose, dome your shoulders, place your foot between your hands. Keep your back heel high, draw your inner thighs together, and inhale, Crescent Lunge. As you exhale, open it out into Warrior Two. So ground your back heel. Think about finding length in your front thigh. Now, our back foot has come into slight pronation. So the ankle coming down has brought the foot down. So think about finding grounding on the outside edge of your back foot. Flip your front palm, inhale to come forwards and exhale into reverse warrior. So think about lifting your chest towards the sky. Find length on both sides of your torso. So option in our reverse warrior to lift up the heel of your front foot. So bring a bit of plantar flexion in to our front foot. Works the calf a little bit more as well in this pose. Come out of any variations, take an inhale. As you exhale, bring your right forearm to your right thigh, sweep your left hand forward and come into extended side angle. Option to bring your right hand down inside your right foot, but think about having good engagement. Don't let your hips come out to the side if you're coming a little further down. It's our Mula Bandha and an inhale that brings us back to Warrior Two. Pause for the exhale. Straighten your front leg and walk your back foot in, so heel ball toe in about a foot's length. Draw up your quads as you inhale, reach forwards, and exhale, Utthita Trikanasana. So thinking about drawing your top shoulder back in space a little bit. And then we've got a bit of plantar flexion in our front foot, but option to bring in some dorsiflexion by lifting onto your heel. Take hold of your big toe with your peace fingers. One more breath. Release your toe. Inhale to come back up. Exhale, Warrior Two. Take an inhale. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands forward, frame your front foot. Option to come through a one-legged chaturanga, so keep your right leg lifted as you flow through your vinyasa and make your way back to downward facing dog. Full inhale, exhale. One more breath and let it go. As you inhale, lift your left leg. As you exhale, draw your left knee towards your nose, really dome your shoulders, pause, and then place your foot down. Your inhale brings you into Crescent Lunge. As you exhale, open it out, Warrior Two. I'm going to turn around. Flip your front palm, inhale to reach forwards, exhale into your reverse warrior. So thinking about finding length on both sides of your torso, don't let your left knee travel back with you. Then if you did on the other side, same thing for this side, we're going to lift up the left heel, working into the left calf a little bit more, but keep lengthening your torso as well. Sometimes we start to focus too much on our feet and just kind of neglect the other parts. Release your variations. Take an inhale. As you exhale, extended side angle. Reach through your right fingertips. An option as before to come down inside your right foot. Let's use our Mula Bandha and an inhale to come back to Warrior Two. Pause for the exhale. Straighten your left leg. Heel ball toe your back foot in, just to give yourself a slightly shorter stance. Draw up your quads. As you inhale, reach forwards. Exhale, Utkatasana, Trikanasana, extended triangle. Think about drawing your top hip back and your underneath hip under. Perfect. If you did the variation on the other side, same thing for this side. So lifting up onto the heel, take hold of your big toe with your peace fingers. It's a bit more of a balance then. So make sure you've got a good grippy mat if you're doing that. Release your variations. We're inhaling to come back up. Exhale, warrior two. Take an inhale. As you exhale, cartwheel your hands forward, frame your front foot. Option for that one-legged chaturanga. And make your way back to downward facing dog. Full inhale. Exhale. 2 more breaths. So really draw the air right to the very base of your spine. And let it go. 1 more. Exhale. As you inhale, lift onto your tiptoes, soften your knees, lift to the top of the mat and then walk, step or float on up to the top. Inhale to a flat back, exhale to fold. As you inhale, sweep your hands overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastiti. Good, so bring your feet about hip distance apart. I'm going to come a little bit further back. Make sure you're standing on a nice solid base. Then as you inhale, lift your arms and lift up onto your toes. So this it's called California Twinkle toes. Press your palms up towards the ceiling. So we've come into a reverse handstand. 1 more breath here. Then bring your arms in line with your shoulders. Take an inhale. See if you can keep your heels high. And come into chair pose. Good. Let's bring our heels down. Draw your palms together. So we're going to sit lower onto our chair. And then we're going to, from our chair, come into a squat. So think about taking your hips down. And then you may or may not be able to come into a squat. Sometimes people think it's like their ankle mobility, but actually by the time you've come past chair pose, it's more to do with hip flexibility. Option 1, stay here in Malasana. Take your, if you need to take your feet a bit wide and take your knees wide, go for it. Otherwise we're going to come quickly through crow pose. So for crow, have your hands about shoulder distance apart. Make sure you've got a good foundation, elbows directly above your wrists. Then bend your arms, so bring your torso forwards. Think about really pressing into your hands, lift your hips, and then bring maybe just one knee, or maybe both knees, to the backs of your arms. Have them just above the elbows. Take your drishti or gaze to the top of your mat. Then think about pushing and lifting. So lift your hips, and maybe your feet will float up. Maybe not, maybe do one at a time. And then we're going to jump it back for chaturanga, do a vinyasa, or just come back. If you're in Malasana, let's all make our way into child's pose. So hips to heels, rest it down. Use your next inhale to roll up and sit up. So we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So draw your feet together. Think about sitting up tall. Let's begin by binding our feet. You can bring bricks underneath your legs if you need a little bit more support, or books or cushions. Inhale to sit up tall, and as you exhale, hinge at your hips and draw your sternum forwards. Again, it's an inhale that slowly lifts us up. Then open up your feet like a book. So this is supination of our feet. It's a bit of a kind of manual manipulation. And this time we're going to roll down, so round your spine. Take an inhale. As you exhale, bring your chin to your chest. And then thinking about bringing your head down into your foot back. Again, it's that inhale that slowly rolls us up. And I mentioned at the beginning when we are in our toe stretch that there's only a couple of things that we can do to increase range of motion in our feet. And one of the other things we can do to bring a little bit more abduction into our feet and particularly our toes is you can kind of make a bit of a zip with your toes. So you kind of thread them one on top of the other. So it looks a little bit like a zip. My toes don't do it. The bottom ones do, but not the top ones. So it's a little one to play around with, see how you feel. So if you have zipped up your toes, carefully unzip your toes. Take your hands to the outside of your thighs and carefully draw your knees up. We're going to come around again to face the back of the mat. So let's just come through a little boat pose. So thinking about taking hold of the backs of your thighs, walk your feet back and then float on into boat pose. Start with your ankles and knees in line, roll your shoulders back and down. And then option to stay here or to straighten your legs, option to keep holding your thighs or release them. We're going to come through naughty toes, good toes again. So good toes, naughty toes, good toes, naughty toes. One more. And then slowly make your way down to your back. Good. Pause here. Bend your knees. Have your feet about hip distance apart. Arms active by your sides. As you inhale, tilt your pelvis towards you. Roll up through your spine, coming into bridge pose. Option to leave your arms where they are, or wriggle your shoulder blades a little bit closer together. Interlace your hands and press them down into the mat. Lift your hips a little higher, lift your chest a little higher, but really make sure that your feet are grounded, particularly the big toe, the ball of your foot. If you come up, release your shoulders. Then we're all going to take an inhale and use the exhale to slowly roll down. Take your feet a little bit wider, take your arms out to the side, and then windscreen wipe your knees from side to side. Draw your knees towards your chest, coming into Apanasana. Then think about what you'd like to do. If you're ready for Shavasana, come to Shavasana. If you want to come to Happy Baby, take hold of the outside edges of your feet. Draw your lower back to the mat, knees towards your armpits. Then carefully release, and if you're not there already, make your way to Shavasana. So extend your legs, so your feet flop out to wherever they'd like to. So I'm going to come up, but you stay down. Close your eyes. And let's take a little moment to just find a little bit of release in our Shavasana. Noticing if you're feeling any different to how you did at the beginning. Let everything soften. So feel your muscles relax, your bones rest, and a more regular pace coming back to the body. Letting your breath just breathe you. Feel the muscles around your eyes soften. And allow your tongue to release as you're completely held by the earth. Yoga is an invaluable gift of India's ancient tradition. It embodies unity of mind and body, thought and action, restraint and fulfillment, harmony between man and nature, a holistic approach to health and well-being. It's not about exercise, but to discover the sense of oneness with yourself, the world and nature. By changing our lifestyle and creating consciousness, it helps in well-being. Let us work towards adopting an International Yoga Day. So International Yoga Day has been running for 5 years now, started in 2015. And that was Narendra Modi speaking in 2014. Take a slightly deeper breath and start to move your fingers and toes. Rotate ankles and wrists. Carefully turn your head from side to side, rolling along the base of your skull. Draw your knees up towards your chest and give yourself a really nice, well-deserved hug. Take a little rock from side to side and then roll onto your right hand side. Pause there for a moment. Then use your hands to guide yourself back up to seated. So you can roll up through your spine and bring your head up last. Coming back to any comfortable seat. Draw your palms to Anjali Mudra. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, bring your chin down towards your chest into a light bow. It's one of the few internationally recognized symbols of honor and respect as we offer up some thanks for this breath, this body, this soul. Thank yourself for coming to the mat. Bring back to mind the dedication that you made at the beginning of our practice. Bring your thumbs up to your third eye, that place of intuition. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for MoreYoga International Yoga Day. I'm sorry, my eye's been weeping a lot lately. I think it's something to do with my contact lenses. If anybody has any questions or thoughts or queries? Oh, Diane, hello. Good to see you joined. So I've got to admit, I was not familiar with the Black curriculum movement, but definitely a really good cause to be supporting. And I think the way that they're doing it as well is really nice, to kind of do it through the arts. Oh, hi Lily. Thank you for saying so, I really appreciate it. I'll be honest, I do particularly enjoy a little express vinyasa. It's quite nice to just do a little something to kind of break up the day. Then you can feel better about yourself, having breathed, done something a little bit conscious. So there are there are loads of other great sessions on today, so I'd really encourage you to check out some of the other sessions that we have. So if you guys do think of anything kind of after the session, anything that you would like to maybe practice next week, then you can either leave a comment underneath the video, I think it stays up, or you can message me on Instagram. I'm Tor Park. I'm always happy to hear any feedback, thoughts, special requests. The kind of the focus on feet was actually a bit of a request from somebody, but I think it is a really nice way of finding it a little bit more grounding. And enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.